Hey everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case over on Rumble, where I have to unpause and repause it usually. Otherwise, I have to see myself in triplicate. Yes, I will be eating a dried tarantula with ketchup, of course, later on in the stream. I'm going to let more people come aboard before I do that. I was promised some money, some donations by several people. Just took my mushroom pill, by the way, for added energy. Red Bull, mushroom pills, and of course, V8. I get the big boy cans. We managed to get Jeremy to eat some V8 on the stream, so I'm very glad about that. He's getting some of his vegetables in. It's a good idea. No, I will not stop eating the spiders, Ivan the Great. I will eat the bugs, but only if paid to do so and for novelty. Not going to make it part of my regular diet. It's sort of like eating soy. I've had a soy burger before. I was unimpressed. I like the ones that are made with root vegetables and herbs, or else made with mushrooms and stuff like that. Bean burgers are good, though. Beans and beets. That's what I'm talking about. We got all sorts of cool shit to talk about today. Actually, the docket is so overloaded. I've got like 20 different links like stacked up for tomorrow. And that's after I put in the one-off videos. So I'll probably bring some of those issues up with the quartering. Of course, we've got so much news, I can't even get to it all. Like the North Koreans sending a battalion of troops into Russia, for example. Major news, but there's other stuff I've got to talk about. First and foremost, Biden saying we've got to lock him up. He was referring to Trump. Then he says politically, of course. I only mean lock him up politically. We got to elect Kamala so that we can cock block him politically. That was basically the meaning. Didn't come off so well, though. Even some members of the legacy media that are loyal to Harris, and that's most of them, are scratching their head saying, "Hey, Joe, you need to temper it a little bit. It's only 2 weeks till the election. Please, Joe, don't screw up." We've got Trump going on Rogan on Friday, so that'll be a big one. Preempting Kamala Harris. I doubt that she'll actually show up for the Joe Rogan podcast, even though she could actually make a pitch to, the undecided voters that she probably should be pitching to. She prefers echo chambers. And I'm sure that her staffers and aides have told her, please don't use cocaine the next time that you're on an interview. You saw that clip probably posted earlier. She was zipped. She's sniffing shit. Telling weird stories and shit like that, like uncharacteristically incoherent even for her. So we're going to gloss over that. I'll probably try to cover it tomorrow. I'm sure we'll talk about it on the quartering. The Harris team tries to tether Trump to Project 2025. This is from the New York Times. Of course, he has publicly disowned Project 2025, and other than the deregulation aspect and a couple of other things, he's not really aboard with the Heritage Foundation's project. That's more them trying to lobby him to take up positions, but he's been pretty consistent on most of them. So, I mean, the liberals are going to try to get their fans to worry. It's not really working, though. CNN host wonders if Democrats should drop the Latinx framing. Yeah, you probably should have done that some time ago. There's a reason why Latino voters are now lurching off into MAGA land at the moment. Police raid German takeaway after best-selling special found to be pizza with a side of cocaine. Only in Germany. Personally, I don't see the problem. All right, people are snorting coke. Well, whatever. Maybe it makes the pizza taste better. And then we've got to talk about Kunz the Dunce. I believe it's pronounced Kunz, but he had an incident the other day. He was trying to show, hey, he's going up against Josh Hawley over in Missouri. He's doomed to fail, by the way. He's like 15 points behind. He's not going to win. He was trying to be macho and show off his gun skills. It didn't go over so well, as all of you have probably seen. Let's see. Sparky, V8 is great. Absolutely. I'll be chugging that throughout the live stream. BW, how much would I have to pay to get you not to eat that? Give me $100 and I won't eat the tarantula, unless someone ups your bid. Sparky, greetings, fearless leader. Garrett, it looks as if Alan Lichtman is still predicting a Kamala win. What do you think? Unfortunately, he has been right a lot. And wrong a lot, I would point out. He's misinterpreting his own keys. That's the whole problem. The basic schema makes sense and is usually applicable, but he's giving several keys to Kamala that he ought not to give her. I think he's even giving her the incumbency key at this point, which makes absolutely no sense. So I think Lichtman's basic premise is a fairly good one. The problem is you can misinterpret. For instance, the idea that we've got a good long or short-term economy, he gives that to Kamala. I mean, no reasonable person, I think, would. We'll launch right into it after a bit of V8. Can chug the whole can, but I want to make it last. I've only got one left. I'm going to need to buy more. Should just buy the gallons of them. Chug one of them on a live stream. Other than the excessive salt, it's good for you. It's vegetables. 2.5 servings per can. Drink a couple of those. You got all your veggies for the day, but I'm making lentil soup later, so I don't think that I'll need it. I make it the right way. And yes, it will be the vegetarian style, not the French style with the bacon in it. Although they're both good. I prefer it vegetarian. I want to taste the lentils. I want that to be the source of the heartiness. Biden spurs controversy by saying, we've got to lock him up about Trump. The president quickly moderated his remarks to suggest figurative rather than literal incarceration. I seem to recall, it wasn't that many years ago, there were chants of lock her up, you know. And the legacy media dogpiled it immediately. Oh my God, Donald Trump's trying to overthrow democracy and persecute his political opponents, much like the Biden admin has been doing to Donald Trump. Every time Trump makes a statement that sounds persecutorial, he's basically just paraphrasing something that Biden or Harris or someone associated with them has said. You may have noticed this on 5 or 6 different occasions. Now you've got Biden very, very stupidly blundering into that particular sensitive line that has been ingrained into the liberal mindset. You know, the lock her up chants from 2016 and thereafter. And some people pissed that Hillary wasn't locked up, even though she did break the law and was found to have done so. Biden has as well. Hunter Biden, Burisma, etc. It's just that the House Republicans are too stupid to be able to fully investigate it, and at this point don't have the political clout to do so anyway. They got distracted by Hunter Biden's wiener and Parmesan cheese and his gun sale and stuff like that for some reason. Biden is blundering. And I'm sure that after he said this, the people at the DNC, which were watching, Obama's people, Kamala's people, definitely, they were like shaking their heads. They're like, oh, come on, Joe. It's 2 fucking weeks till the election, and you have to trot out that particular line. It was off the cuff. And when Biden is off the cuff, he's also off the goddamn rails usually. SC Woods, if you can't reseal the package of bacon, that makes it a single serving, right? I very much agree. I love bacon. I don't really like it in lentil soup. I like the heartiness of the lentil flavor with the overlap of the spinach that you wilt in at the end. I like that combination. Brought out, of course, by various herbs and spices. And, of course, the onions, which are fresh from the garden, actually. Garrett Thomas, hey, Sticks, will it be worth it to stay up if we don't get a presidential result in the early morning? When do you think we'll see the result? I think we'll get it same night. I think that several states will hold out, but I don't think it'll be enough states to tip the election. Aquafan, did you hear Tim Pool's announcement last night? Yes, Tim Pool is having a child. Well, his woman is having a child, of course. He's not actually giving birth. He understands that gender is dichotomous, I think. So, yeah, congrats to him and his. Bocephus, V8, what's next? Clamato? Just blend Biltong. I hate Clamato. I'm assuming you mean like that shitty beer with tomato in it. Tomato does not go with alcohol. I mean, I don't go with alcohol now either, but even back in the day, I tried Clamato exactly once, fucking hated it. Phineas, is it true that Maricopa said it will take 10 to 14 days to count votes? Will that affect the outcome of Arizona? Yeah, exactly. I wonder why. Everywhere else will get it in pretty much same night or within 24 hours. Maricopa seems physically incapable of doing so. It's the only significant area in the United States that takes that long. Hell, in the last election, even most outlier states, within 72 hours, you had the results. Copium poppies. Sticks, how big of a super chat would it take to get you to snort a fat line of powdered biltong on stream? Anton informed me they do carry powdered biltong. Oh, they do? Yeah, no, I don't think that'd be good for my lungs. That wouldn't be worth it, I think. Yes, in a little while, I will eat the dried tarantula with ketchup, so stay tuned. But first, I want to get through a couple of these news stories, the sponsors, maybe the third. So, yeah, Biden says we got to lock him up. If he had an R after his name, right now it'd be front page news everywhere. Instead, people are saying he's being glib. Oh, but he immediately said only politically, okay, using incarcerative terms to describe cock blocking someone in the electoral sense doesn't make a whole lot of sense now, does it? Trump is going on Joe Rogan on Friday to an audience of many, many millions of people live, and plenty of others will watch it afterwards. I'll be one of them. I don't do the Spotify shuffle. This is a good move. Trump and Rogan have not always gotten along. Rogan has insulted Trump. Trump has insulted Rogan, but they've also been on friendly terms. It's sort of a frenemy situation, I think. For him to go on a podcast, therefore, where there are people that would tend to lean in the MAGA direction but aren't necessarily sold, I think this is a very good idea. You're talking about a massive national audience. He's one of the top podcasters in all the world, actually. And Trump can take his message to him. What I would do if I were Trump, and he won't do this, but it would be legendary, is when I got on there, the second that Joe Rogan pulled out a fat joint, I'd say, give me a hit. If Donald Trump does that, he's guaranteed re-election. If he decides to really meme it up, it would break the internet. And the liberals would be forced into a position where they'd have to explain why, after years of pushing marijuana legalization, they have a problem with Donald Trump smoking it. It would be legendary. It's not going to happen, unfortunately, but in my wildest dreams, in another timeline where I get to decide what happens, Trump smokes a bong or takes a toke off a joint. Doesn't even need to inhale. He's pretty much a teetotaler, it seems, although I do believe that he's lying when he says he's never actually tasted alcohol. I have a feeling that a couple of times a celebratory champagne glass was in tow, but he's never been drunk. To my knowledge, he's never smoked a cigarette, never touched weed. That's because he had a relative that actually died of an overdose, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, it makes sense. He has a personal story there. But he could easily out-liberal the liberals on that issue and be hilarious. And at this point, it's basically a dead issue anyway. Like, weed is illegal here. I don't smoke it, but you can. It's legal to grow for, home operation. I think it's 2 adult plants per person in the household, or 6 juvenile plants. I can't remember exactly. I guess the idea is not every juvenile plant survives to adulthood. The aphids got into it. Shit. In fact, I had a dream last night. I was growing some sort of, it wasn't weed. I think it was growing grapes, and it was like covered in aphids and shit. And I was trying to destroy them, blasting them out with a hose and shit. There were ants crawling all over them. Had another dream, actually, that I was getting stuff for lentil soup. I have weird dreams sometimes. Cooking Inferno, excellent post on witches. Most don't grasp that true witches and warlocks spend most of their time studying. They also tend not to refer to themselves as witches and warlocks. Sparky, you pointed out that China, nominally and ostensibly a communist country, uses capitalism for recent prosperity. This makes a good point. Nowadays, countries are mixed mode to varying degrees. Yeah, but it's the capitalist side that's actually, going on ahead. We need more of that in the Western Bloc nations, too. Copium poppies. Oh, come on, every man has his price. Besides, it likely wouldn't even make its way all the way to your lungs. Lol, probably get all gunked up in your snot and saliva. Yeah, that's like the trend back when, I was younger, when kids would snort pixie sticks. And, of course, they'd start hacking and wheezing and stuff. This was considered hilarious. I never understood it myself. Trump will go on Rogan. We'll see exactly what kind of questions are asked. I have a feeling that Rogan will be fairly respectful. Trump will probably be respectful. There might be some fireworks, but it's more likely to be aimed at Kamala. Trump will be effectively pitching, I think, to Rogan himself why you should, vote for me over Kamala Harris. I mean, it's obvious in my mind, but Rogan has been more straddling. He leans, I think, towards the populist side, but he's got criticism for Trump as well. And so we're actually probably going to get a pretty good interview. You've got somebody who will be reasonable. He's not going to talk over Trump, for example. He's not going to let him get away with everything, though. He will query him. He will press him on certain issues, I'm sure. And it'll probably be one of the most popular podcast slots that Rogan's ever done. Cooking Inferno, very true, but I wear the moniker Warlock proudly. By the way, Warlock is a great Halloween film. My Halloween tradition, thank goodness it's only a week away. I love Halloween, favorite holiday, by the way. Although Thanksgiving's close too, because you get to gorge yourself. Can't wait for that either. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Be an extra Thanksgiving if Trump wins the election, by the way. I watch Hocus Pocus, the old 90s movie with Omri Katz. I've already done a spiel about that, about how they didn't really have the young adult branding back then, and that's why the movie fell flat and only became a cult classic as opposed to a really, really high-end movie. That's because they didn't have proper branding. Well, we can't market it to the little kids. It's too scary, and they say hell and damn a couple of times. But we can't market it to the older kids because it's not edgy enough. They didn't have that sort of Y7 through tween demographic sort of figured out back in the early 90s. And so, unfortunately, it destroyed Omri Kat's career for the most part. He did Erie, Indiana, I think, after that. That lasted one season. It fell into the same category on Nickelodeon. Getting off topic here. Derp. The Dashing Rogue. Wiccans are new age. The whole movement was started by Rick Sanchez lookalike in the 50s. They are an ideology which was later hijacked by Marxists. It actually starts in the Victorian era with their grandparents. Then it's revived around that time and into the 60s with the flower power and the love beads and meditation. Disappears again and has been more recently revived by the younger generation yet anew. And people who are compiling all of those old works and making them available to people, I think that we've helped jumpstart that. I pointed this out years ago in Fruits of Eden. Sparky. Trump was never a drinker. Doubt he'd take a toke. His beloved older brother drank himself to death. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump never had alcohol except in medicine. Same with Joe Biden. Joe, I'm sure that he takes the occasional, Kamala certainly does. We're thinking now that that packet of cocaine that was in the newsroom there, we're thinking it was Kamala's. Based on her interview the other day and all the sniffing she's doing and going literally off the rails, I have a feeling she was on coke. Other people have noticed this too. Seriously, she was balls to the wall. She was on something. We're just not sure whether it was coke or alcohol or some combination, probably of the two. Before I get to my next news story, I want to do the sponsors a little bit early today. We've got cultivated-mind.com, where you can get mushroom pills, Radiant Energy, Brain 2, Brain Squared. I take them every day. It does seem to boost my energy. There's also one for the immune system. I think that one, what does this have? That one has shaga, turkey tail, reishi, maitake, and shiitake. These are all used in Japanese medicine as well as herbal medicine in the West. So, there is a precedent there. Non-FDA approved. Pumpkinfirecrafts.us, where you can get bookmarks, keychains, belt chains, engraved spoons, glassware, and much more, with the Ouroboros generally on it. Also Clank and a few other memes from the channel. They've also got non-sticks things available as well. BiltongUSA.com or AntonsUSA.com, where you can get delicious biltong. He's also got a bunch of other stuff, teas and crackers and cookies and stuff like that available, imported from South Africa. He makes biltong. It's delicious. Try any of them. It doesn't really matter which one you try because they're all delicious, but I'm fond of the bison and the cabanasi. The cabanasi sticks are really great. Take a couple packets of that out with you when you're camping. It's more convenient than the shredded stuff. You just grab the stick, you eat it like jerky, but it's 10 times better than jerky. Also, Sticks, X, and Hammer mugs, tumblers, and shirts available from his store as well. We have wickedneedleembroidery.bigcartel.com, where you can get Sticks, Hex, and Hammer hats, such as this one. There's several varieties and colors available. High quality. Everyone should have a hat or two, maybe 10. It depends. Maybe you collect them. HeritageHeirloomSeedCompany.com, where you can get a seed survival bucket. Again, like some of the stuff over here was grown from their seeds. I've still got some more of the Turk's Turban dried from one of these squash for next year. I'm going to grow them again because I like the way they look. These ones, these are going to be more for decoration since it probably lasts for months before it rots. I mean, and look at it. It looks kind of like Halloween-y. It's just sort of what you need. Also, you can get Sticks, Hex, and Hammer soap. There are several varieties available there. Blue bar, pink bar, his and hers. Websterswares.com/sticks-wares, where you can get various Sticks, Hex, and Hammer merchandise. We've got blades available. Also, metal straws to save the turtles that you want to eat anytime you go down to New Orleans. Trust me, they're pretty delicious. Also, coats, beanies, which is funny considering the Tim Pool dust up right now. A lot of Trump merchandise available there as well. And finally, jamandbean.com. That is JAMNbean.com, where you can get Clank Coffee, the official blend of the channel. Nice and smooth, perfect roast, nice caffeine level. I'm very glad for that because I need more caffeine in my life. Other coffees, also teas available there as well. Now, we're going to talk about Project 2025 before the grand opening of my dried tarantula over here, which I've got McDonald's ketchup packets left over, and I'll be using one or possibly both of them. The Harris team tries to tether Trump to Project 2025, a big fear-mongering project in and of itself. Liberal commentators, number one, casting aspersion on the project. It was dreamed up by the Heritage Foundation. And number two, trying to claim that Donald Trump has embraced it. Now, in the first part, you have a project. I looked it over completely. Some of the tenets of it I do not accept. I do not approve of. This is my opinion. Others, like the deregulatory concept and some of the tax proposals, are very, very good. Those would fall in line roughly, by the way, with what Trump has in mind. But that's a tangential overlap on a couple of issues. It's mainly economic in nature. As far as some of the more moralistic inclusions there, Trump has publicly multiple times come out and said he does not embrace Project 2025 and has nothing to do with it. Fundamentally, fact check, mostly true. He's not part of the planning. The only thing that would be partially true in the sense of him having anything to do with it is the, again, coincidental overlap of some elements of fiscal policy. Liberals, nonetheless, keep telling the lie. It's much like when they say that Trump is going to ban abortion if he's elected, which clearly he's not. He's expressed no interest and, in fact, active disinterest in such a proposal. Much like that with the moralistic proposals of Project 2025, nothing there has anything to do with anything that Trump has ever publicly professed. And he's got a political track record that goes back to the 1970s. That's pretty high levels of consistency for someone within politics. He's changed his mind on very few issues overall, which means he's locked in time as a true conservative from the 80s and 90s period, like a Reaganite. Ronald Reagan as well. People cast him off as this Christian crusader, hyper-moralist. That was never him. It was like the Gipper's quip about why he didn't go to church. He's like, this was an ultimate masterclass in deflection. Well, I don't go to church because somebody might target me and others might get hurt. So I talked to my pastor and he said it's okay if I worship privately. It's because he wasn't really worshipful. Donald Trump is not particularly moralistic or religious at all either. I know, Dave, there are no mods. Styx doesn't believe in that. True. Cooking Inferno. Wicca is just an excuse for middle-aged women and me to run around fire naked chanting. Thanks to Gerald Gardner, devotee of Crowley. Yes, indeed. 100% true. He just wanted to see naked priestess titties. Although I have a feeling that he preferred the younger ones over the middle-aged ones. Adam Smith, love Halloween, but here in Australia, due to it being spring, it doesn't get dark until after 7 p.m. It's also kind of hot. As a kid, few celebrated, but it's become really popular in modern times. Same in the Netherlands, actually. Halloween never really existed there, but lately it's become a hipster holiday. Copium poppies. Fact, McDonald's ketchup is better than Heinz. I think it is Heinz. Oh, they've started making their own ketchup, I guess. It used to be Heinz that they had. I can't tell the difference between the two slurries of corn syrup. Tigers are my totem. Sent $5. No comment. Thank you. The Herald Studios voted early here in Nevada. Harris Wall supporters have been violating electioneering laws in my county, setting up signs and booths beyond boundaries, which is purple. Think this is desperation and a sign for Nevada going red? Yes, I believe there is a good chance that Nevada will go for Trump. Sparky. Kamala sometimes shows up heavily buzzed, if not drunk. Hillary has a drinking problem, too. Bad hangover led to her collapse when she was thrown in the van like a sack of potatoes, led to 2016 loss. Yes, it was heat stroke at the time. You'll remember that one. Like on election night, when it was clear that she lost, she refused to concede, and Podesta had to come out and say, no, this isn't over. Just go get a good night's sleep. That's because they had to get her sober, get her cleaned up, and get her makeup done. She was probably throwing bottles at people. Billy Howard, what are your thoughts on populist conservative Poilievre soon replacing Trudeau and having a Reagan-Mulroney relationship where Canada and the U.S. become an economic fortress and have mutual migration pact? I would hope that happens. I think that's a good idea. It'd be wonderful. All right, before we get to the rest of the news, let's crack open this bad boy. I will eat the bugs. I've had dried tarantula and dried scorpion before. The scorpion is honestly better. So it's not necessarily something I'm terribly looking forward to. It looks a little bit shriveled up in here, by the way. So there you go. If you focus, come on. It never wants to autofocus. It always autofocuses when I don't want it to. Never autofocuses when I try to command it to. And, of course, it's fallen apart into its various spider components. It smells, tastes, and has the consistency of a dried woody mushroom. It has fallen apart into a pile of spider dust. So I'm going to see, this is, I guess, the abdomen, I think. It was much larger before it was dead. I'm going to have to clean up my hands, too. I know that I'm going to get ketchup all over myself. Yeah, a real manly meal. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's the win. I wish that they would season and salt them. If they did that, then it would taste a little more palatable. Mix, match, and down the hatch, folks. Mmm. Mm. With the ketchup, it's okay. Mm. Mm. Okay. Yeah, with enough ketchup, you can eat pretty much anything. Managed to do it without making a mess. I'm surprised at my own skills, I suppose. Ketchup conforms to my command. If you want to know how it tastes without actually eating the bugs, all you have to do is get a slightly stale old woody mushroom that's been dried, crumble it up with some ketchup and eat that. So yeah, eating dried tarantula with ketchup, of course. Without the ketchup, it's it'll powder in your mouth and, practically choke you. COVIDian Lockdowner really has a thing about Alan Lichtman. My goodness. Would barbecue sauce be better, says Boromir of Gondor? I'd try it. And take a couple of them, crush them up, and make like a barbecue cereal, I guess. Vietnagard, are you concerned at all for Arizona? Maricopa seems to be getting suspicious yet again, announcing it could take up to 2 weeks to tabulate all the ballots. Yeah, of course it's suspicious. That's why Trump needs to go to the east side of the valley there, canvass it heavily for a couple of days before going back through, I would say, Georgia, North Carolina, then head up to the Rust Belt. Stop over in Virginia a couple times, though. Spend a couple days there, then take a look. You got to do your Rogan thing, of course. You've got enough days left to do a double header in all of the competitive states. Just enough time to do that while also settling in Virginia. I would say for the last day of campaigning, Trump should heavily canvass. He should do like a triple event and really get people riled up in Pennsylvania. He can also focus on Virginia. I mean, it's a gamble, but if he picks that off, that offsets any two of the smaller swing states, like a Wisconsin, Nevada, or Arizona, or whatever. Pamela Kilpoen, Maricopa County says it will take 2 weeks to tabulate results. That is insane. Here in Finland, we do it in one night. Sounds very sus. Yeah, it is, but it's Maricopa. Razorfist has more information about the dysfunction in that particular county. It is interesting. All these hyper-competitive locations, which have no significant demographic differences from other urban areas, for some reason, they just can't count the votes. I don't know why. I still think there's a chance that Trump wins Arizona, though. I just think under normal circumstances, it'd be a virtual 100% chance. But Maricopa exists, basically. COVIDian, what's your obsession with cock? Have you ever seen Alan Lichtman's cock? Do you use AI programs to generate fantasy images about it or something? Anyways, he's not like totally spam posting, so he's allowed to talk about Alan Lichtman's genitals. CNN host wonders if Democrats should drop the Latinx framing. The answer is yes, but it's too little too late. You've already popularized the idea in the minds of young, impressionable, and very stupid white liberals. They seem to think that Latinos and Latinas want to be grouped in together because of a gender and stuff like that. That's not a good idea. I think you'll find a remarkable resistance to that element of wokeness in the Hispanic culture. I've lived among people from Mexico and from other parts of Central and South America. I lived in the Rio Grande Valley, which I can't wait to visit again because this time of year, it's getting cold. I wouldn't mind taking a weekend down in the Rio Grande to go see Weslaco. Maybe I can visit the border and get some good footage, get some interviews with, border patrol agents or even illegals coming across the border. That'd be cool. I live down there. That's where I learned to make real fucking tacos. It's where I astonished people by liking actual tamales. For some reason, they thought I wouldn't like them. It's where I've amused people by occasionally putting ketchup on the tacos, and they thought this was ghastly, and I laughed, roared with laughter. And you get menudo, and everyone swore I wouldn't like menudo. I had 5 fucking bowls of it. I ate half the goddamn pot in a single day. I thought it was one of the most delicious things, red menudo, by the way, that I've ever had. So I can make actual authentic Mexican food the way it's made by actual Mexicans. Not by gringos, gringo tacos. Okay, you're trying to make it a health food. You're not supposed to do that. Or you get like the tacos you get in like California with the hard shells. It's like, okay, maybe it's tasty, but it's not really a taco. It doesn't make any fucking sense. I can't wait to see it again. You will not find a lot of political correctness in Latino culture, and I think I know why. WASPs and people of like Germanic heritage, you know, the European Caucasian diaspora from Northern and Western Europe, have been browbeaten now for generations into adopting Marxist terminology. They overlooked doing this to people that had the name Pablo instead of the name Paul. And so there is much more resistance to it. I saw no effort at political correctness. For instance, the first person who introduced me to the protocols of Zion was my Mexican ex-wife. I didn't even know it existed before then. You will see Nazi iconography openly flaunted. You will see a lot of off-color terminology for people that are homosexual, and a lot of racial animosity towards Black people, actually, in some communities. It's very interesting. You see an unhinged sort of verbiage with regards to socio-political issues that in those mostly homogenous Hispanic communities is tolerated or even applauded. Whereas you don't really see that. You're not going to see that much in white New England, for example. It's considered taboo, except in Vermont. There was a study years ago that showed that Vermonters per capita had the most problematic or hateful commentary of any group of Americans. I was very, very proud of that, by the way. You're not going to find a whole lot of political correctness in the Rio Grande Valley, at least when I was there. I have no doubt that things haven't changed very much. So yeah, you'll see the occasional person with pink hair or the punk shirt, and those are pretty cool, actually. A lot of retro, too. A lot of retro 80s and 90s nostalgia down there. And I think I know why, because the economic situation in the U.S. was so much better back then. That would have been, you know, the land of the free would be the place to be. And so I think people that have immigrated, whether they're first gen or not, they have sort of that lingering nostalgia that a lot of white Americans don't have. I realize there are white Hispanics, by the way. Again, I married one. Cooking Inferno. There's a reason Mexico received the Zimmerman telegraph. Yeah, if you want to hear off-color ethnic humor, just go down where people from Mexico congregate. Political correct. What's this fucking gringo talking about? What's Latinx? Yeah, you should have dropped that term, really like a hot potato on day one. It already wasn't going over well. It's sort of like until George Zimmerman existed, white Hispanic wasn't in the liberal lexicon and was considered a slur. All of a sudden, it became culturally acceptable. Yes, believe it or not, if 2 Norwegians who look like they're about to sack some monks on the coast of Britannia move to Argentina and have a kid, that kid is Hispanic. They're going to speak probably with a joint accent. They're going to learn fluent Spanish, and they probably won't be cooking, shitty fish like Norwegians do. Very interesting. Redane. I would love to be wrong on this, but I strongly suspect we will see the same things we saw in 2020 with delayed results, all late ballots being blue. In Arizona, you probably will. But they need an order of magnitude more ballots. It's going to be a lot more difficult for them, and they don't have that advantage in several of the holdout states. The Sumerian. Sticks, you're making WF proud by eating the bugs. No, I mean, I ate bugs as a kid. It's a remnant childishness. The idea of actually mass producing them for human consumption on a regular basis is bullshit. I mean, do you realize how much the fucking tarantula cost? One fucking tarantula? Yeah, that's really, the average person's going to eat the bug burgers. It's cheaper. I mean, if you want an alternative to the meat, you're going to end up using mushrooms. Those are fairly cheap. Or soy. That's cheap, although it's not healthy for you if you're male, especially. Or you're going to be using like a bean burger with beet for texture. Those are delicious. Mom makes those sometimes. They're actually really, really good. taste kind of, I mean, they taste like a burger with beans on it. They taste sort of like a really hearty burrito. I like the old school ones though, where they've got the textured root crop. So it's like onion, carrot, and stuff like that, compressed into a patty, usually with a grain binder, which isn't the healthiest thing, but whatever. And then herbs and spices. Those are good. They're not supposed to taste like meat. They're just supposed to be filling. Cooking Inferno. Sticks, do you know what I was talking about? Yes. The Zimmerman Telegraph. I do get the reference. Hey, invade the United States. Quick. Take back your lost territory. It didn't get off the ground very much now, did it? No, Latinx. Like if it's sort of like I'm supposedly part Abenaki. But if someone says Native American, I'm saying, no, my tribe barely exists anymore. There's no such thing as a full-blooded Abenaki these days. What are you talking about? I'm white. Look at me. I look in the mirror. I'm Caucasian. Same with the Latinx sort of thing. Latina and Latino are not the same thing. Gender does actually matter, and it is dichotomous. There are just people that, don't want to acknowledge it. Bretling, this chat is getting more and more useless without moderation. There will never be moderation. However, I will give COVIDian Lockdowner a timeout because he is persisting over and over. God damn, dude, at least find some new material. You've posted the same basic 3 or 4 things for days and days. Oh, excuse me. That's the tarantula's fault. Police raid German takeaway after best-selling pizza special found to have a side of cocaine. The local pizzeria was busted by police after it allegedly delivered one of its dishes with a side order of white powder. It's been claimed by prosecutors that the Dusseldorf establishment in West Germany began serving up special menu item 40 on their menu. However, the price of the special order remains unknown. I'm assuming it probably cost a little bit extra. This is one of our best-selling pizzas, the best-selling pizzas, criminal director Michael Graf von Molt told reporters, Hail Molt. Police say they were first tipped off about the special order by food inspectors in March. Hey, inspector, I'll give you a little extra on the side if you don't report those rodents sitting over in the corner waiting for their pepperoni. Following the tip-off, German drug squad officers soon sussed out the unique selling point of secret menu item number 40, Mr. Graf confirmed. The police conducted a raid of a nearby premise shortly after with the apartment belonging to the pizzeria's manager. It's claimed that upon the force's arrival, the 36-year-old from Croatia allegedly threw a large bag of drugs believed to be cocaine straight out the window and right into the arms of the police officers, Dusseldorf police said. He was probably high at the time when he made that decision. Normally, he flushed down the toilet, I think. As part of the raid, German authorities are said to have seized 1.6 kilograms of cocaine, 40 grams of cannabis, who gives a fuck, and about $250,000 in cash. The manager was detained for a few days before being released and returning the special order number 40 to the pizzeria's menu. This decision allowed police to look into the drug supply chain that fueled the restaurant's special pizza order, with some 150 police officers cracking an entire drug ring in Western Germany as a result. I believe in legalizing drugs, so I mean, the only thing I would say is, consumer safety laws. You got to tell people that the pizza comes with the cocaine. That's all I ask. 3 suspects were arrested as part of the wider bust, including the 22-year-old head of the drug operation, who is believed to be Russian, of course. The pizzeria manager was eventually arrested after attempting to flee the country. How do you get arrested attempting to flee the country when there's no border control whatsoever? The border between the Netherlands and Germany does not exist. You see a sign saying, Willkommen in Deutschland, basically. It also led to raids on the homes of 12 further suspects, busting 2 cannabis plantations in the nearby city of Mönchengladbach and the city of Solingen, where 360 plants, respectively. As part of the raids, the force also found an array of weapons as well as cash and expensive watches, DPA news agency reported. Who cares if people want cocaine pizza? As long as they're told, hey, this special menu, it comes with a rail, Sir Thomas Drake, I prefer to pronounce it as Latinx. Sigil, I got banned from Twitter again for saying I'd kill an anime femboy with cheese. Apparently Elon likes traps, and don't you dare DS the bussy. Dagnabbit, Sticks, are you worried about the Dominion machines? Mildly. No, I just don't think that there will be enough of them to overcome the will of the people this time around. Again, the polls couldn't be more different from 2020. They're better than they were in 2016. So it'd be really, really difficult to explain to people how that happened. Anthony Rodriguez, fuck Latinx. Exactly. Crossover Maniac, the majority of cattle feed is from the parts of the plants humans can't digest. What happens to all that inedible material if beef is banned? Guess they have to compost it, I guess. Winged Wolf X, you can bend him, you can break him, but you better stand clear of Tim Walls come tumbling down. Tim Walls. Verdane, look up the teenage pot dealer prank call. There's a good chance I've already seen it, honestly. I've seen thousands and thousands and thousands of prank calls over time. There was one where they had a casino guy, the casino asshole, calling up some obviously drunk and high redneck, and he gets totally confused, and he starts like sobbing and talking about like he thought he was someone else, like the prank call soundboard thought it was an actual person because he's so drunk. And he starts like sobbing and talking about an ex-girlfriend and how, you know, he didn't deserve her or something like that. And at the end, like, he's really, really mad. And he's like, you know, come and meet me, come and fight me. But then, you know, the casino guy's like, you got the wrong guy. And he's like, I think I do. And he's like, call me back tomorrow, man. I'm going to sleep or something like that. It was one of the funniest ones. I wish I could find it again. Cooking Inferno. I want an 8-ball with my pepperoni pizza. Damn right. Up me and wife's alley. I wouldn't be doing those. Dutch Schaefer, if Cackles was to win, would there be any doubt there was an enormous amount of shenanigans that went down? Yes. Sir Thomas Drake, I think there's a recent allergy death in the UK where some Indian kid died after getting a piece of cheese thrown at him during lunchtime at school. Kind of sad, but funny all at once. Yeah, there was, at least back in the day, there was a sign on the door in one of the hospital wards at Dartmouth. I used to go there for my primary care. There's a sign that says, please don't bring mushrooms in here, because apparently one of the doctors was like deathly allergic. Like a single spore will cause you to go into anaphylactic shock levels of allergic. Lord help them if they ever have a mold problem there, I guess. Yeah, I don't do drugs. I don't drink either anymore. Well, I drink, but it's, you know, non-alcoholic. Oh, yeah. I'm probably going to plow through another one of these later. Fun fact about me. Not that anyone asked, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Whenever I drink a beverage, I always drink an odd number of gulps. It's just an OCD sort of thing. I will not drink an even number of gulps. If I accidentally do, I'll take an extra gulp to make it odd. I mean, that's my penance. This does not happen with water. With water, it doesn't matter. You just chug it. But if it's anything other than water, I will always take an uneven number of gulps at one time. Bystander syndrome sticks for the last time. As a taco American, I can tell you it's because the vast majority of us are Roman Catholic or a strain of Christian. Our values directly clash with their stealth communism. Anthony Rodriguez sticks. I'm from Donna, right next door from Weslaco. RGV might go red, I hope. Yeah, I lived in Donna too for a while. I liked Weslaco better though. It's got a little bit of a different vibe. Donna is more like the modern like suburbs, like the burbs, man, develop. I'm sure that it's sprawled out even more by now. Weslaco is more like the standard small town thing. Lucian Hex, have you seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil? No, I haven't. Never heard of it. Dave, Sticks, how big is your garden? I'm not exactly sure the square footage. Let's see. Yeah, stimulants can be good for productivity. And as far as caffeine from coffee, it actually is good for your health. New studies showing that it's actually vasoprotective. Old studies said that coffee caused strokes and stuff like that, but they never fixed for cigarette smoking. And at the time, they didn't fix for it. Later on, they realized, oh shit, back then when the studies were conducted in the 80s, coffee drinking and smoking were highly correlated. Whoops, it was the tobacco all along. Sigilstone, what do you do if there's only 2 gulps left in the can? 3 sips, 1 big gulp? How do you decide? 3 sips. If it's too much for a single gulp, but it's not enough for 3 gulps, then you take 2 medium-sized gulps and then you down the rest of it and it counts. I don't know. I'm weird sometimes. King of Biltong, add some biltong to your diet as a high-protein snack alternative packed with B12, zinc, iron, creatine, and more. Get yourself some at biltongusa.com. Sticks 10 for 10% off. Try our dried sausage. Trust me, just get whatever you want from Anton's. You'll probably like it. If you like jerky, you'll love Biltong. It's better in every way than jerky is. Easier to chew, more flavorful. Emperor Soft Turtle, the key details in early vote is propensity. R early is low prop and D early is high prop. This means R's are not eating into their election day. Yeah, I have a feeling that the Republicans are going to outperform generally. I don't know by what margin, though. It could be half a point, it could be 2 points. Either one would be within that range that we've seen recently. The Sumerian, put a bump of Coke in your coffee, get stuff done. Yeah, for 20 minutes. Well, you won't get stuff done. You'll just be like sitting there twitching. I've never used cocaine, and in fact had never even seen it until I was in the jail there and somebody had smuggled some in and was snorting it right in front of the guard. It was very, very strange. Trust me, those were bizarre 48 hours. I'm like, what the fuck? And I thought maybe, shit, I got so wasted to start hallucinating and don't, maybe I'm sitting there crouching in an alley talking to myself or something. It's not a pretty thing. So now I'm a teetotaler. And by teetotaler, I mean later on I'm going to down a bunch of tea, too. Tea doesn't really go with soup, though, when you think about it. No, I'll just have a V8 on the side. Milk doesn't really go with soup either. Should I drink it? I guess fruit juice maybe goes with lentil soup. Something like that. I'll figure it out. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, now we got to talk about the ultimate funny story. Kunz the Dunce. TV reporter struck by bullet fragment at Lucas Kunz shooting range event, campaign event. A bullet fragment struck a TV reporter at a shooting range during a campaign event on Tuesday for U.S. Senate candidate Lucas Kunz, who provided first aid to the journalist. Well, at least he knew basic first aid. He wasn't severely injured, but there were so many problems with, and you can look at the picture here. What do you see? Well, first and foremost, you're firing at metal targets from about 20 feet away. Is this safe, fellow gun enthusiasts? The answer, of course, is no. Fragments can ricochet off of that hard target, and they can hit anything that happens to be there. Secondly, again, you're roughly 20 feet or maybe a little bit less from the target. Why are you using a scope? Is your aim that poor? Thirdly, you're part of a party that doesn't even want you to own that kind of magazine because it appears to be a standard capacity 30-round magazine. You're using an AR, too. They want to ban them as well. It appears that he has tannerite sitting there. Again, while firing at a metal target from 15 to 20 feet away. And you accidentally hit somebody. I mean, shouldn't he be brought up on charges? I keep hearing from, he's a Democrat. I keep hearing from liberals that if anything goes wrong with your gun, even if it's not in your control at the time, you should be prosecuted with felony charges. Wouldn't this at least be criminal negligence or something like that? I think that he should be brought up on charges. Honestly, I think the Democratic Party should refuse to back his campaign and say, look, you've got ultra scary weapons. And you also apparently don't know much about the guns that you own. He's got a whole pile of fucking shit out there. And he's, other than the safety glasses, he's doing everything wrong. It's clear. This is a person, he collects guns, makes him feel manly. This is the exact stereotype that they try to foist on people that are like on the right. They own a couple of guns and they're like, oh my God, are you compensating for something? This is exactly the kind of futtery that actually they complain about. And this is a Democratic candidate. He's going up against Hawley there in Missouri. I'm looking at just the fucking picture, and I can detect 5 or 6 fucking things wrong with this. It doesn't make any sense. And then he's bandaging the dude up, and the reporter, this chubby-looking man boob dude, he's like smiling and shit like that. It's like, what a cuck. You literally just got hit by shrapnel by a person who literally knows nothing about firearms, or at the very least, maybe he got loaded and was just acting in a negligent fashion. Even a fairly elementary student of firearms understands that it's not a good idea to be near a metal target when you're shooting it. And by the way, again, if you need a scope at that range, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. That's handgun range or revolver range. That's not, what are you doing? It makes no sense. Literally nothing makes sense here. I don't understand. Sigil, they didn't offer you a bump. That's just bad manners. Every time someone did in front of me, they at least offered first. It's the polite thing to do. I wouldn't have accepted it anyway. Who knows? Maybe it wasn't coke. Maybe it was fentanyl or something. I don't know. I'm glad that I'm not a drug user. I mean, back in maybe the 90s or something, maybe you could get away with it. These days, yeah, I would be very cautious. Yeah, you need a scope at 7 yards to fire at a hardened target. Why does this sound like a great idea? Maybe you can get away with it if you're just plinking with your 22 or something like that. Even then, and be cautious. But Jesus, supposedly this weapon will blow a hole in the person the size of a basketball. The liberals tell me that all the time, and that they want them banned. So you've got gun that they want banned, tannerite lying around again in proximity to the metal target. You see a scope at short range with a high capacity magazine. This, I mean, he's clearly trying to brand himself. It's part of a campaign thing. It's a campaign event. But anything that could go wrong did go wrong. You're definitely no Demolitia member. I mean, I'm hoping that the Demolitia covers this, or Hickok. I'm hoping that they crucify this dude. Lord of the Ree, what a retard. Can't wait to vote for Holly this weekend as early voting started yesterday here in Missouri. Clank, I believe that Holly is 14 points ahead at the moment. I don't think it'll be a problem. Yes, even a 22, exactly. But I mean, he's using supposedly the most deadly high-powered rifle in the world. And he's surprised when the dude took a piece of shrapnel in the arm. Fucking retard. The Sumerian, his last name says it all, Lucas Kuntz. I say Kuntz the dunce, actually. Sigil Stone, isn't he the guy running against Matt? No, he's running against Hawley. Gates is going to have to hang an entire newsroom to earn back the right-wing vote. And of course, the only time a Democrat is based is by accident. Yeah, I mean, this dude, he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. I don't understand it. Kuntz, who spent 13 years in the Marines, by the way. Yeah. How do you make such an elementary error, my dude? I'm not the world's foremost expert in guns. At the moment, don't even have any, of course. But, you know, I know better than to make this kind of elementary mistake. And Lord help me, if I ever need a scope at 20 feet away from a target, I probably shouldn't be using a gun. You know, I should probably make use with a little, you know, snub-nose revolver for close range defense and call it a day, because quite clearly I can't hit the broadside of a barn. You were in the Marines for 13 years and you don't understand these very basic principles. It's like I halfway expect before this, you'd have footage of him. He's got his finger on the trigger and he's waving it around, pointing it at people or something. You're nuts. I see Woods. Not a scope, just a red dot aiming point. No magnification. No, at one point he had an actual scope on the weapon. It makes absolutely no fucking sense. And looking at the pictures of the footage and stuff like that, it's like, you know, you could use this as a training for your kids. You're trying to teach them gun safety. All right, kids, you need to identify the top 5 things in this image that shouldn't be done. I'm sure his wife's boyfriend berated him later. Cam 2425, after basic training, many military don't carry a weapon after that, especially paper pushers. Yeah, maybe he was just a paper pusher in the Marines, but still, once you've had that basic training, I mean, I would hope that, you know, you would know at least the basics. I guess he had a flashback and he thought the metal targets were enemy soldiers, and so he just opened fire or something. Pilgrim Media, I want night vision for the zombie apocalypse. Night vision's pretty cool. If you're going to get good night vision, though, I think it's pretty expensive. Let's see. It's probably come a long way since the old days. If you want military grade, you're talking about quite a bit of money for that. L3 Harris. Yeah, you can get decent ones for a few thousand, I guess. I don't know. I've got pretty good night vision because I ate my carrots as a kid. So I'll just, you know, I'll rub carrot juice on my eyes. Webster's Wares. Good morning, Clankers. Free shipping using code STICKS. New fall tumbler available. Check out our election night giveaways at websterswares.com/election2024 giveaways. Clank, baby. Taco woman Sandy Ravage. Bill Gates ordered to stand trial in Netherlands in November over COVID vaccine injury claims, according to Gateway Pundit. Yeah, well, first they have to actually get him extradited. He'll just not go to the Netherlands, probably. Good. Then when I go over there, I don't have to deal with his stink. Not a bad account. How many days after election day we know results? That depends on the states that haven't fortified. If Trump manages to sweep them, he's over 270. It doesn't matter what the other states do. They can spend as long as they want counting. What we really, really need, though, is we really, really need some sort of reform in those states to try to figure out why it is that certain counties can't get their votes in within 48 hours. Because, I mean, think about it. It's also unfair to the rest of the states. If you've got a hung election, nobody's at 270 yet, and one state is holding out for 2 fucking weeks. And at some point, you got to get them in so you can certify or not certify the election, too. By the way, please send no more super chats. I've got to go do other things. Get a shower in. I got to go shopping. Do the quartering stream, by the way. Again, 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central Time. I will be live with the quartering. Live Mondays and Fridays. I mean, Mondays and Wednesdays. I've got a bunch of news that I'm going to have to relate to him. See what's on his docket and do some cross-training. Jason Lane. Have you seen the Georgia courts ignoring the legislature regarding the defortification laws that were passed? WRT ballot counting. Thoughts? Yes, I saw that decision by the judge, and I disagree with it. I think it's unfortunate. I believe that they're appealing it now, but it's been the preliminary decision, unfortunately, was upheld. Georgia, nonetheless, is red just enough, so it's going to be real difficult for them, I think, to have enough fraudulent ballots. It's possible. But I would point out that Trump can win without Georgia anyway. Webster's Wares. How funny will it be when Kamala has to certify Trump's win? Haha. Yeah, that would be a funny moment. She'll have no choice. She won't. I mean, they've set the legal precedent that no choice exists. Not a bad account. I do what I want. You're not my real dad. Anyways, I'm going to go offline now. Thank you all for tuning in. The roughly, how many people tune in live? Yeah, almost 4,000. Pretty good, pretty good. Keep in mind, of course, we will be live on election night. But first, you must vote. You are banned from watching the stream unless you voted. Unless you're like, you're not from the country, or you're ineligible to vote. You know, you're 17 or felon or whatever. Okay, then it's fine. But still, you can get somebody else to vote. Drag your incorrigible grandmother to the polls. Hell no, I don't want to vote. Well, Grandma, I'll get you a hamburger. Oh, I love hamburgers. It's something like that, you know. I will be voting in person. Trust me. I mean, my voting place is literally a block away. So even in inclement weather, there's a freak blizzard. I'm sure that I can make it to the local elementary school. Webster's Wares. Take my money, baby. Clank. So yeah, I'll be back tomorrow with more heavy hitting news. I've already got part of the docket set up for tomorrow because there was that much fucking political news to cover, and plenty of science and health news too. Some herbal medicine. We'll be covering that tomorrow in a one-off. I can't wait because I love those subjects. It's going to be a great day once again. Unfortunately, it'll be 20 degrees cooler tomorrow, so it won't be a t-shirt, stick, axe, and hammer. I'll be going gothy mode, I think. That's about all.